We are live. Okay.
All
Hey,
right then.
everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Alchemy Bench. As you can see, it's just the two of us at the moment, although we might be getting a third friend coming in later. But while we are waiting,
Oh,
we can
hello,
thank
Joey.
our matrons.
Our matrons, I see.
Yes. We got Yemi Ye
Thank you, Yami.
and fucking Julie
Oh, yeah, that French person. But thank you.
and Marty,
Thank you, Marty.
Ellie,
Thank you, Ellie.
and Yo,
Thank you, Yo.
and Mylin,
Thank you, Mylan.
one fucker, other fucker, and Tim,
Thank you, the fuckers, and thank you, Tim.
and Von Rek.
Thank you, Varrox. I don't know why you give us money for all of this, especially since we are so not prepared for any of this, but we'll try to make
And
your money
here comes
be worth it.
Isaiah.
And Isaiah has joined us. Hello, Isaiah.
Hey
Connecting with audio.
everybody.
Hello. How are you feeling right now?
Who, me? Um I'm still here, so I guess I'm feeling okay.
You didn't went to war with your roommate because he's still playing the loud music.
Well, the pepper spray hasn't come yet, so I'm just waiting on that.
Mm,
I still got a whole week before eBay delivers it to me, so
let's see.
he actually turned it way down when I went to
Okay.
bed, and but he didn't turn the music off. He just played this weird instrumental music shit but I could hear it through the walls. So he did that actually.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it's the fact that he plays the music and he plays the same songs all the time. It's not even like a new playlist. It's just the same stuff. So you
Well,
know, it's that.
what can you expect from a frat guy? We're not very original people.
Well, it's
Mm.
I've met frat people before, and when I said that the music was too loud, they turned it down. This guy just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. That's the thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes it too because he likes the confrontation.
Uh,
Yeah.
I guess it's just because he never lost a fight or never feel threatened of anything. So it's just that white guy, a frat boy.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think he was actually pretty shocked that I threw bleach in his face that time because
Mm.
I felt like no one I think in his life has challenged him over something so trivial like music. So I think he was really surprised that happened that someone was able to stand up to him for that. So that's my opinion.
That could be it because some people will get very surprised when they are get pushed back like that. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm still here for now. Uh, my hospital job is okay. It's nasty and dirty, but
Well, I don't know if you will get used to it because that's what people will say. You'll get used to it, and yeah.
well, I've had food service jobs before.
Mm.
So, but I wish I could be working at something that I personally
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's that I don't know. As I don't feel like there's an American dream anymore.
Well, there is. It's
I
just
have
not a
never
pleasant
really
dream.
I've just never really believed that to be true. Never. Because well, hear me out. Because they always say, well, if you work hard, you can own your own business. I'm like, what if some people don't want to own a business? Some people may just not want to do that. So what?
Mm-hmm.
They're just okay.
And also, that
Like
was always a lie. You could never really own your own business. It takes I believe that in order to start up a business, you need $30,000.
Yes, just for collateral, just for the down payment, and then the bank can loan you. But even if you do start up your own business like that, um, in the first 5 years, 70% of new business or startup businesses fail within the first 5 years in good times. So it's kind of yeah, and so it's and also the other way is just like work up the corporate ladder until you one day become the CEO, when really most people would just become middle managers.
No, most people die poor.
But yeah, there's that. Most people just died poor.
Well, George Carlin always said that the American dream, you have to be asleep to believe it. So
Hence why American Dream. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't, you know, I'm. It's always just weird. But however, I do have good news.
Okay.
I start school Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of mine my adopted mom, and I think I told you this, Serenity, that she's a Republican. I think she may.
Yes.
I think she may try to hook me up with a job at the Navy Museum in Pensacola. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that's what we talked about. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
I see new cat pictures in the fold.
Yes,
right now.
I went ahead and took Julie's advice and dug up all the old pictures that I took that hadn't been put in the feed. So now, so basically, I just went through my Facebook, dug up, and downloaded all the pictures that I had shared before. So now there's lots and lots of pictures of Baby Girl and Sappho and Wesley as a puppy.
Nice.
I also bought the pepper spray in case there is a civil war with the election. So because I've been looking at stuff on Vice News, you know, about some of Trump's people and like the Proud Boys, and it's scary. These people are scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are, which is why one of the aspects of direct action praxis is like community defense. Like this, that's why part of why there's the Socialist Rifle Association, the John Brown Gun Club, as it were, and so
The not fucking around people. Those, yeah.
Well, that's why, and that's part of, as well as like a community organizing, mutual aid, just like be around, be able to defend yourselves. Black Bloc was kind of always that too, to like make it safe at like the protests, as were.
Yeah. Although to be fair, because like there are some women who are Proud Boys. There's some white women who are Proud Boys. I kind of joke that I think they're Proud Girls because no black guy would date them. So I think they joined because of that, especially when they're like so animated against BLM. I'm just like, are you just mad because a black guy wouldn't like date you? Is that what this is?
Well, there's Lauren Southern, who for a while there was like dating Muslim guys.
Is this an incel thing? You know,
A voluntary celibate for women.
They exist. There's something called fem cells. There's those. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, and I guess, and there's always been like people of marginalized groups that end up being like the occasional token accepted by these like hate groups. That who knows how long they like last in the organization. I mean, yes, there's like one gay Nazi, as it were, and so there's always been like. There's white black people in like Candace Owens or Tree of Logic, as it were, and Official Tatum. So there's always going to be the occasional one-off token, as it were. And actually, that reminded me, saw this on my Twitter, and I haven't read the full article of the comment, but like I'll post the New York Times, so you probably have to like open up and like in incognito tab, or else you get like an ad or something like that, or this be one of your 10 free articles you can read off the New York Times. But apparently Lindsey Graham, yes, the guy with the face, as Julie said last week, declared that black people in South Carolina can go anywhere they want, and so long you just need to be conservative.
What does that mean to be? What does that mean to be conservative?
Politics.
I don't know. Well, I don't know what that means to be conservative, because if you're
It
saying
means you need
small
to pull your
government,
pants up. Is probably what he was
well,
going on with that.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because like I've always wondered why the Conservative Party is the most religious party. But 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 because if you believe in self responsibility the way conservatives do, you wouldn't really believe in God, especially if you think God like has a plan for you. If you're a conservative, you would think you have a plan for yourself through hard work and all this stuff. It wouldn't be God having a plan for you. So I'm always like curious why the Conservative Party picked up religion as much as it did. Not to mention how like authoritarian they are about it, from a party that says that they despise big government. So
Uh, well, in your studios kind of like cover that subject a little bit, like how there is so much of a religious right and not so much of a religious left was covered in his last alt-right playbook of I Hate Mondays. And it's kind of like it's a binary way of thinking that conservatives has of like they have to think it's about like the individual's actions as it were, which is why the law is there. It's not to guide people in what's the right thing to do, is to punish people for deviating from the enlightened path laid out by God, as it were. And also
right,
you point out that's why how fascism it can be so enticing to the religious people because it's politics as faith, as it were.
Hmm.
Uh,
yeah,
as to what
And
the
also, it's based entirely on lies. So,
yeah, exactly. And how the and in another video that's like of they did brilliantly of what conservatives actually believe in. There's always a bigger fish, which yes, Steve Jobs did like voice your friend from high school, your conservative friend, for that video. But he also followed up in like end notes of conservatism, where it's just like they will say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which used to be an actual criticism for all of the capitalist mindset that they reappropriated to mean that's what you ought to do. And they say about small government, they say those things, but they really believe is that people are inherently equal and that there must be people at the top that bestowed power to them, as it were,
yeah,
sometimes maybe by God, as it were, or in higher power, and that they are the ones responsible for telling us, the rest of us, the minnows, of what to do. And that idea of that there's always hierarchies is really infectious, actually, in a lot of people. There a lot of people are just uncritical of it too.
yeah, yeah, because they don't want to like stir the pot. Growing up in the South and being an atheist or being not as strongly religious, I got a lot of that. It's like you're asking too many questions. Like I'm asking too many questions. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. See, the indigenous heretic has said study shows with increasing religiosity comes increased political conservatism and bigotry. There aren't studies that I know of which shows any causation, but I think which came first is obvious. Yeah,
well, remember, correlation isn't causation.
true.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that it's just the mindset that leads to conservatism and bigotry also leads to religiosity.
Yeah,
yeah,
I can see that. Yeah. But what's kind of interesting, actually, kind of going deviate a little bit on a side topic, Rebecca Watson earlier this week, I believe, who's always awesome. Everyone watch Rebecca Watson, and she's great stuff. But one of the interesting videos that she did, was sort of follow up to the previous video, but it was like science and religion aren't compatible, but only in America, is where it was almost like a meta data a mega study or a metadata study, as a word, where they actually went through not only to like all the other countries and see if there is like noticeable that the more religious you are, the more anti-science you are. And actually it's a very subtle, as not as it deviates slightly, but actually around the rest of the world, excluding the US almost, if the more religious you are, the more scientific you will be, or the more in favor of science you are. which is like kind of interesting. But you have to remember that like the reason why in America it is the more religious are, the more anti-science you are, is because we have a lot of fundamentalist Christians in America, or the what did my brother call it? I would call it the United Corporations of Imperialism. I would add the empire part of it, but that'll be a little different. But my brother said on Facebook, imperial corporations of white supremacy, as opposed to the United States of America. So that could be because this country was founded by a lot of Puritans.
Basically, the rest of the world sent us their worst people.
Which makes sense when you think about it, yes.
So Biden is apparently up in the polls in a commanding lead.
He's like plus 22 points in my state, Washington State. And I love that, like the photo of like Bo, Adora, Katra, and Glimmer. And that's...
It's okay to ask for help. You're not a burden. Murder is okay. Your feelings matter.
What are you guys gonna do if Trump loses?
If Trump loses, I'll admit there'll be a tiny part of myself will be happy, but I will just be like, okay, I'm going to like hammer home on like my agitprop of like, commit to like direct action, or probably I'll say, okay, he's now in. You have all voted now. Now can you do direct action, liberals, or something like that?
No, direct action is a crime.
Oh, right. You got banned from like Facebook for a day because of that, right?
I said we should occupy the Senate to stop them being able to do anything so that they couldn't put in Amy Coney Barrett.
Yes.
Coney Island Whitefish.
That is a way of direct action. And honestly, I think also because Biden has clearly said, I think even in the one debate, who knows if there's going to be another one, the debate commission has said there's not going to be a second debate because both parties, Trump has not agreed to the terms of the next debate. But in the last debate, I think even Biden said that like he's not in favor of like Medicare for all. So in order to get him and the rest of Congress and Senate to like actually be in favor of Medicare for all, we have to like squat the White House and the Senate or the Capitol Hill. In a video game, I guess we have to say that for that. Oh wait, we're not on Facebook.
Okay, and then there was this plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer,
the Michigan governor. Yeah. Yes.
I almost confused Gretchen Whitmer with Gretchen Wiener from Mean Girls. So my bad.
That's okay.
In fact, if you look on the YouTube in about 20 seconds, you will see pictures of the 10 guys who were arrested for attempting to. There, it's on the YouTube now. For plotting to kidnap and murder the governor and burn down her home. And yeah, they all look like white supremacists. So, a group of crows is called a murder. A group of owls is called a parliament. What's the name for a group of right-wing terrorists? I suggested congregation.
That could be it, yeah. But it's that kind of knowing about like that story of like the attempt of kidnapping of the Democratic governor of Michigan. And yeah, that was like terrible, and glad that like it didn't go through. But it kind of like shows you, okay, who's the most dangerous out of like the left and right,
the radical anarchist left,
the Antifa, it's the white supremacists.
I'm pretty sure it's the communists because they want to give you health care.
We should thank all. Well, we should thank all those beautiful Antifa members of George C. Patton and Douglas MacArthur that took on fascism. Were they all Antifa? Was Marshall Zukov Antifa? Bernard Montgomery, he was Antifa, I guess. So, yeah. Okay. Here's the funny thing about like how like the way the right categorizes what Antifa is. I guess to them it's a bunch of goth people and like like piercings and like black leather stuff, and I guess that's to them as Antifa, like with like
Well, black
baseball
bloc.
bats.
Well, yeah. Well, the reason why Antifa do wear black is part of Black Bloc, and it's just so that like you won't be easily identified by the fascists and the police, which many of them are fascists as well, and to able to protect your family members as it were. So that's why they always dress all in black, and also keep your phones home, because they have been like tracking those actually in protests recently. So yes, it is a serious thing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was like in part of the discourse about these people that like were playing this plot against the governor of Michigan. I saw this like thread by Gwen Snyder, who was cool and awesome, a social a local activist in like the Philadelphia area, has done a lot of local organizing. She's been doing a lot of the direct action advocating for, and I wish I could do a lot of that and like be as cool as her, but she is very outspoken against like the Jacobins and Jacobin writers and the Dude Bros and the Brocialists of Chapel of Trappist, and so she did like a thread I link into the chat, criticizing the Jacobins because people in writer, or one of the Jacobin writers, because they were look at the poor state of like these white supremacists, look at like their cars on like cinder blocks, as were basically pure classism on them, and just like, oh look, they are just so poor, that's why they turn to like fascism or something like that. And so it's an interesting thing to like read Gwen Snyder's like criticisms of that, because fuck those grasp reductionists, believing that like is all the white supremacists are just like poor people, and they weren't poor, they wouldn't be like white supremacists. Yeah, I don't think that will happen.
Well, we haven't heard anything from Trump's law and order part of him. We haven't heard anything towards these people.
Well, he thinks that was law and order, honestly, to depose and kidnap his opponents, especially the Democratic.
That's what fascists mean by law and order.
Yes.
It means terrorist violence by the state or just by, fascist supporters against political opponents and brown people and Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, voting is still going on. Even though I have my problems with Joe Biden, you won't hear me stop talking about my problems with Joe Biden. If you live in a battleground state, like a state like this within 10 points from 538.com, there's actually only like 7 states are like that.
Is Biden leading in Florida where I am? I'm in Tallahassee. So
that's a good point. It was close though. It was in like 5 points, but I have to like look that up. I did look that up out of curiosity for a short little blog that I haven't posted yet, actually. So I'm at 538 right now. I'm gonna look up Florida. No, that's Georgia. Georgia's within 1%. Biden leading by 1 point in Georgia. So it's like that's very flippable. Florida, a poll yesterday says that no, they haven't received the results from Trump or the other thing. So it's just like, it looks like for Florida, it's Biden, but only by like 4 points or so. So like Biden is like 49, while Trump is like 45. But who knows what's going to happen with the polls, as like absentee ballots have been like sent out to the wrong address. In Ohio, it's nothing runs smoothly.
Biden is leading in Georgia? Wow.
By 1 point. By one point. Atlanta, there's a lot of black folks in Atlanta, so Georgia makes sense to be a purple state. And so
I have never been to Atlanta. I'm like the only black guy who's never been to Atlanta. So
I've never been. The only places I've been outside of Washington State has been Oregon, California, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Have you been to the Space Needle yet?
I have once been to the Space Needle. Yes.
Is it everything that people say it is? Because I really want to go one day.
It's cool to go once. I haven't didn't eat at the restaurant. I think we went as a school trip. It is cool looking over Seattle from the top of the Space Needle, though. I would say that. I'm sure that hasn't changed as much. I don't know what the tickets are, but like, I've been to the EMP, or it's now called the Pop Culture Museum. It's the Experience Music Project. It was Paul Allen, one of the guys from Microsoft, who was the co-owner of like the Seahawks. He's dead now, but he wanted to do a Jimi Hendrix music experience because he's a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix from Seattle. But then he couldn't get the rights to that from the family of Jimi Hendrix estate. So then he just like created his own like thing, and it couldn't call it the Jimi Hendrix music experience, so he just called it the Experience Music Project. That's where it's now.
Isn't it like isn't one of the filming models from Star Trek: The Next Generation there?
Possibly. They have gotten some cool stuff over there for their museum. They have the sci-fi museum next door as well. That's
okay. That may be where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. I've been there, and it was actually pretty cool. Okay, I love the posters that were all around the place, because there was like, oh, there's like Blade Runner, ooh, there's Alien, ooh, there's like Island of Children, where they even had posters in the bathroom. But it's kind of fitting because the poster in the bathroom was Alien versus Predator. I actually saw that in theater, and it's just like, you're taking two R-rated franchises and making a PG-13 movie of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
The Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who does the Resident Evil movies now, they're making another one.
Is Mila Jovovich coming back? Are they gonna bring her back?
I bet that she is. I don't know what happened in the last one. I didn't see the last one. I don't know if she died or anything like that, because they did kill her off before. I mean, yes, there were zombies.
She scared me when I first saw her like on television. She was like deadly. She scared the shit out of me. But,
so you're saying you're scared of strong women?
No.
You're just scared of
misogynoir. I get it.
No. Because like Gary Oldman, from Air Force One, that guy scared me too. Especially the way he acted in that movie. It's like, is he like this in real life? Is he that
actually?
He kind of is.
Yeah, I don't know.
John Brockman, while we still have his eye here, do you have some fishy fashy prepared for us?
I do.
Yes.
So, this is the most delightful thing. You'll never guess who's back on Twitter. I'll give you a hint. He's fashy.
Okay.
He's dumb. He is British.
Oh, Sargon of Akkad.
Sargon of Akkad is back on Twitter.
I was going to say Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, that would have been a good one, because he is British too and fashy. But but he's been on Alpha Twitter for a long time. The last he got kicked off Twitter for inciting the harassment against Leslie Jones. But anyway,
yeah, Milo, his life basically just fell apart. Whereas Sargon, he's just sort of dwindled a bit. But he's back on Twitter, and he's
his 10th account.
Yeah, he's calling himself now the Greenwood Outlaw, just at Greenwood Outlaw, as in Robin Hood.
Yes.
He thinks he's Robin Hood.
Do you guys know who Nick Fuentes is?
I do.
He's the Latino fash, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, is from Cuba. No, he's the certain kind of Latinx that is like very white, I guess.
He's the Marco Rubio, He descended from the slave-owning class rather than the slave class.
Yes, I think that's it.
Remember, the first time the South went to war over slavery, it was when they they crowdfunded an invasion of Cuba. In like the 1830s, they staged 2 failed coup attempts against Cuba.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because the Spanish Empire had just outlawed slavery, and they said, hey, we like slavery, you should join us. And 2 failed coup attempts later, they gave up.
When I used to go to church, I used one of my pastors. This was like the hip church. He was like, he would always, because he was like a 50-year-old white guy, but he thought he was like cool, I guess. And he would like I
gotta say, middle-aged white men are the coolest. Just
yeah. he would refer to his wife as Puerto Rican babe, because his wife was Puerto Rican, he would just say, "This is my Puerto Rican babe right here." I'm like,
At least he wasn't calling her his bae.
well, it was still awkward.
But anyway, to Fishy Fash.
Fishy fashion.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got off topic.
So,
That's okay.
So this week it's 3 tweets from Carlgon because it's just so easy.
Oh, this is a treat.
So first
I just
up,
still can't believe you haven't heard of you haven't watched the movie Legally Blonde, geek, because you use a lot of like the memes when you describe capitalism. So I'm just
I joined that Facebook group, a Facebook page essentially that like always like shares them around because the person that runs the page is like a narco-communist and awesome. But anyway, back to Fishy Fash.
All right. So first up,
I'm sorry.
He's telling Donald Trump to investigate Joe Biden because he thinks that Putin has endorsed Joe Biden because they're both communist. Second, he thinks that Medusa, the ancient Greek myth thing, is a feminist icon. And third, rather quite straightforwardly, just says fascists are leftists.
Anyone that could be real.
Not really, actually.
I agree. Yes, fascists are not leftists, but there's so many people that think that like,
and is
can
Carl
employ-
stupid enough to say that?
no, Carl is
Well-
stupid enough to think that like fascists are leftists because the Nazis have socialists in the name and they were for like Medicare for all when really they were for Medicare for just Germans. And what is a German?
For white Germans, for Aryan Germans, for
Yes.
not Jewish people. Yeah, and also remember
queer
the
people.
word privatization was invented in the 1930s to describe what Nazis were doing, as they dismantled the social democracy of the Weimar Republic.
Not to mention, North Korea calls themselves like, Democratic Republic, and they're neither of those two. So,
and the Soviet Union called themselves
Communist.
Soviet and republics.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Isaiah, which of the three do you think is fake? Do you think he's calling on Trump to investigate Biden as a communist alongside Putin? Do you think he thinks?
Well, Putin is not a communist.
Well,
Putin is worth $4 billion. He's not a communist.
They can all be lies or false. The point is, which one did I alter? Which one did Carl not actually say?
I'm gonna probably say the Medusa one.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
okay, so I think I'll go with the first one. I was tempted to go with the second one because that sounded interesting to me. But then again, no, he would really believe that. And I'm wondering, it's like, is he wrong about that? But I wonder what's the rest of the take. But my guess is the first one. He did not suggest for Trump to investigate Joe Biden colluding with Putin because they're both communists. So,
okay.
yes.
So you both agree that he actually would have said that fascists are leftists. So, if you look over to the screen, you'll see that, yes, that is literally what he said. Someone said, fascists be like, how do I steal this leftist theory and make it racist? To which Carl replied, yes, fascists are leftists. So he is that dumb.
So sorry, John P.
Wow.
You guessed wrong. Oh well, but it was a good guess.
What an idiot he is.
Yes, yes.
And next, about Medusa.
Because
I think we're going to get banned because this is a very racy statue. Basically, a 7-foot-tall bronze sculpture of Medusa with the head of Perseus will be installed across the street from 100 Center Street, Manhattan's criminal courthouse this weekend. A commentary on the Me Too movement. And so Carl replied, so we are celebrating the evil monster who kills innocent people as a hero of feminism now? So no, he doesn't think she's a feminist icon. He was being sarcastic.
So Isaiah won.
Isaiah got it right. But, interesting fact, Medusa was a feminist icon back in ancient Greece. She was considered a protector of women. She had been raped, and
Oh.
Athena gave her the stone gaze as a form of protection. And I believe they would put Medusa icons outside of women's temples and so on.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then, of course,
Then why are jellyfish then called Medusa? That's interesting.
because they have the snaky tentacle things.
Okay. Moving. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
Which means that Carl Ghosn did, in fact, call on Donald Trump to take a look at Biden and Putin. Because somebody called Not the Bee said, Putin just spoke favorably of Biden and the Dems because he says they have common values with the Soviet Communist Party. So
God.
Carl Ghosn is back on Twitter, and he is as stupid as ever. I love it.
I did notice that like it was like yesterday, the other day, that Medusa was trending on Twitter, and it was because of like that. They wanted to put the Medusa statue in front of the courthouse as a commentary of the Me Too movement, and it was kind of interesting. I was in a voice call with from friends on Discord, and it's just like, when you look at the Greek mythology about Medusa as well. I didn't know that part of like Medusa being a feminist icon. And I said it kind of makes sense actually. Protector of women, turning like men into stone because like she was raped. But in Clash of the Titans or like story of Perseus, Medusa was just there in her own like lair and just at home. And so then Perseus shows up, and our other adventurers show up to try to like what? Oh yeah, cut off her head because it's powerful, or someone wanted it, the king wanted it, and so it's just kind of like, wow. And when you think about the other Greek mythology, like monsters, they're just chilling out at their own homes, and then these adventurers come in and just like try to like kill them, as it were. It's kind of like a dragon's there, a hero must kill a dragon, here's the head of the dragon, aren't you happy that I killed a dragon? I'm a hero, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's getting crazy out there, though.
Although the Minotaur, that particular myth, kind of speaks to ancient Minos on Crete. There was a powerful kingdom that demanded human sacrifice of people, and they had a tradition of leaping bulls as a way to show off the prowess of their young men. And they would sacrifice people with a form of axe known as the labris. And thus you get the Minotaur, the bull, the labyrinth, and so on. So
interesting.
Yep. There's that. So it's not so much that there was an actual monster, but that ancient Minos was not a fun place.
Kind of makes sense. And no platform, no mercy, no safe spaces for Nazis. Yes, that is an excellent meme there. Of course. There was that song that someone like it tagged me on Discord saying, "Hey, this is a great song," and it's like it was Smash the Fast. Yeah. Oh, I gotta like find that and link that in the live chat, so at least the live chat people can have a cool song to like listen to. What was going? Oh, another piece of news I think I just saw. This happened earlier this week as I post the Old Poil band and their song "Smash the Fash" in the live chat. That Nancy Pelosi introduced a bill to give Congress essentially the power to like invoke the 25th Amendment on the president,
which of course means that she's going to invoke it on Joe Biden. That's why.
Possibly.
If that actually happens, but it's like it's not going to, because she's like 80 years old, and like she was doing to a friend, a colleague, someone who's also in that same age group, she's actually older than Joe Biden actually. I'm correct that she's in her 80s, because Biden is 79. I think it's another one of those performative things that she is doing. She even like had that mace, that staff of like evoking executive power, a pin on her, as it were, that she wore during the impeachment trials, and just like, Nancy Pelosi, I see what you're doing performative, like almost self-flagellation, but performative stuff. Like, see, I introduced a bill, I did a thing, I'm opposing the president of the United States. #resistance. But it's like materially, with what that will do, what that will accomplish, I don't know.
What do you guys think of an AOC presidency?
I would love it.
I mean, I would love it because AOC.
I mean, she's only a social democrat, but
yes,
maybe we could shift her left.
Hopefully. However, as I've been listening back to old podcasts of the Humanist Report in the past year, there have been times where she's playing the game. She did not back certain progressive incumbents. Certain progressive challengers to Democratic incumbents unless they were saved. So she's kind of now playing the game as well. She did call Nancy Pelosi, who I just mentioned, as Mama Bear. And so now, compared to, like, since this is how we determine how progressive someone is, we compare it to others. Yes, compared to others, AOC and the rest of the squad is much more progressive than, like, the rest of the Democratic establishment, and certainly much more progressive than the fascist party of the Republicans. I'm not as excited now of AOC as I once was before. No more though. Still gas my boat, and like new Congresswoman Cori Bush, I like a lot, even though she hasn't gone into office yet. But compared to like a Biden president, yes, I would love to have an AOC president, but like, who knows what will happen? It's rare. It's very rare for a congresswoman or a congressperson to become president later.
It's very rare for a woman to become president of the United States. The most rare.
Yeah, because it hasn't happened. A Latinx person as well, a Latinx woman becoming president. Yeah.
Well, I find that just very interesting because Pakistan's had a woman president before we have had one. So
I think she was assassinated though.
Oh, that's
Benazir Bhutto was assassinated. Oh shit!
I'm gonna look that up.
I may be pulling that completely out of my ass.
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm just gonna look it up because
Margaret Thatcher. They had England. So.
Okay, so when I DuckDuckGo search Pakistan female president assassination, I get the name.
Yes, she was assassinated in 2007.
Yep. I'll just like drop the Wikipedia article for the people who want to learn about this person, because I'm an American, or I'm a citizen of the imperialist corporations of white supremacy. So I know little about what happens outside of this country, even though I try to at least engage more with it.
Yeah, I just got in watching a video about what was going on in Armenia and Azerbaijan.
I heard about that. Yeah. Yeah, and that I at least know about the Armenian genocide, but I haven't looked into it. But at least I know of it, which is it says something, because there are people who are willing to deny it, and also it's just like people have like forgotten it, and maybe it's because it got overshadowed by the bigger genocide of the Holocaust. But still, it's just these things should not be forgotten.
What does Kim Kardashian have to say about it? That's my opinion, since she's Armenian.
Oh,
so it should be pronounced Kardashian.
Ah,
is it Kardashian or Kardashian?
No, those are the aliens from Deep Space Nine. That's
I know. I'm just being silly. I'm just being funny.
There are four lights.
Yeah.
Fact checking on the leftist blog. What in the world is coming to? Oh, later, have a good day at work.
Or Anna Kasparian, or
Mm-hmm.
It's Kasparian and also Anita Sarkeesian.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's the only reason I know it, is because she mentioned it at some point. And
she's Armenian. She's Armenian. I know that.
Armenian descent. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And she mentioned how her last name is supposed to be pronounced at one point, and I've never forgotten it. So now I just have this random pointless fact about how Armenians pronounce the N at the end of their names.
Mm-hmm. Innuendo Studios mentioned that in like Why You So Angry, the bibliography of like Anita Sarkeesian's harassment. That like it, just because of the big nose, they thought she was Jewish, and so you see a lot of Anita Sarkeesian memes that's like, wait a minute, that's just like the anti-Semitic memes of the Jewish person being greedy and all from like Nazi propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And yet my brother shared a Anita Sarkeesian meme that looked just like that on his Minds.com account. I
Because
have not
she
mentioned.
is from a Semitic population. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
And
once
Semitic means more generally than just Jewish.
okay,
Yeah.
that I didn't know that actually. Okay,
Because the Arabs are Semitic too, right?
I believe so. Not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a good point. So it's just like that was kind of interesting how
A Semite is a member of any of the peoples who speak or spoke a Semitic language, including, in particular, the Jews and Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered. The 8th of October is International Lesbians Day. So happy International Lesbians Day to all those lesbians.
Happy Lesbian
Day. Bi lesbians are lesbians. I wanted to say valid, even though Julie's not here. I know she doesn't like the word, but pan lesbians are lesbians. Non-binary lesbians are lesbians. Our friend Phoenix is non-binary lesbian. Him lesbians are lesbians. Trans women are lesbians for sure. Yes, trans women lesbians are lesbians.
And my birthday is next month.
Oh yeah, you're going to be 29?
28.
28. Hey, I was close.
28 going on 18 because I look like I'm 18. So.
And my gray hairs, I don't know what I look like. Other than Fidel Castro with this hat because of the bill style. But with this hat, I just look like a truck driver, especially if I just have the mustache.
You like a European truck driver, not an American truck driver.
American truck driver wear one of them big boxy hats.
Yeah.
It's something like a hat like this.
That could be a truck driver in America, yeah. But I was thinking, literally,
like,
they're called truckers' caps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think yeah.
It's basically a ball cap, but it's got a bigger crown.
Something close to like this because this one has quite a bill. I don't know.
Well, maybe not the whole Pokemon motif, but something similar to that.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I think I'm gonna like also confirm because I think tomorrow, October 11th, is National Coming Out Day. Gonna confirm that. Yes, October 11th. I did that know that because 2 years ago I was just like, wait, October is the National Coming Out Day, and I checked, and it's like, oh, it used to be just for like gays and lesbians in the 50s when it was founded, but has expanded to all people of the LGBTQIA plus category in the LGBTQ community, the queer folks. And so that's when I just decided on Facebook 2 years ago on October 11th at like 11:45 a.m. p.m. my time as well. So just before the next day, I announced that I was like non-binary to the world. And so, yeah. So if you're going to come out, no better time than International Coming Out Day. But if you do plan to come out to your friends and family who you may think are not accepting, good luck to you and stay safe and protect yourself.
Whenever I see a picture of Trump, why does he look so angry all the time? He has that face just
because brown people exist.
He's pouting.
People are questioning his authority or his importance.
People are asking him to work.
Yeah.
Oh, Mithro, I love that. Mike Pence has an important announcement to make tomorrow then. You know, I remember something during the AIDS crisis, the CDC, the Poison Center, the Center of Poison Control, they did have to make a separate category because there were AIDS patients, which at the time it was known as like GRIDS, essentially the gay disease. They had to make a separate category of men who love men because there were men that would never admit they were gay. They will say they
It's not
believe,
men who love men. That's more modern thing. It's men who have sex with men.
right, men who have
Because
sex with
they're
men. That's right.
So, do you guys got anyone that lives in Louisiana right now?
No.
there are a few people I'm friends with on Facebook, but that's
Yeah,
not the same thing.
that's probably it.
Because they've been hit 4 times by a hurricane so far.
Mhm.
We're now. The last I knew, we're at like Hurricane Delta. So we're already in the fourth Greek alphabet. If that's the fourth one, if I'm correct.
I think so. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon.
Mm-hmm. It's just like for Air Force, they would go with Echo and Shari.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just waiting for Hurricane Epsilon to come.
Mm-hmm. How many Greek alphabets letters are there? Characters?
I have no idea.
I think it's like 23.
Okay, so but about like the same number of like alphabets as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if we ran out of the Greek alphabet, I don't think that will happen. You never know though. But again, it's 2020.
Well, they'll just start giving them like numbers,
Probably, or go
like
with double A.
like
24
do them
letters.
like stars,
Mm-hmm.
like Hurricane HD 4703 or some shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. Kind of like it broke last week, or we knew that like Donald Trump got like infected with COVID-19. But since then, like a lot of like basically staff members of the White House have been like infected with like COVID-19 as well, tested positive, including Stephen Miller. So they'll get the best healthcare though, and it's just like. And who knows if Trump will actually live because because he was given like almost the best treatment and whatsoever. He was given a lot of cocktails at the Walter Reed, but he's been like still sick, even though he pretends that he's not sick. Look, I beat it. It's not that bad. Everyone. Apples, yes, apples. Thank you. I'm distracted by the chat. So who knows if like Trump will actually survive, and if he's not, or if he'll actually be sick, which is probably why there's actually not going to be a second like debate, even though I'm sure Trump wants a debate. But yeah. What else is
Well, Trump's strategy of trying to harass Joe Biden into stuttering so that he could call him brain damaged didn't work last time.
Yeah, it didn't work actually. I mean, for all the things I have to say against like Joe Biden, I will admit that like even though I didn't see the last debate between just for Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden did perform well in that debate, which probably why he did win a lot of like votes in the primary at that time. Bernie Sanders also made a lot of mistakes throughout the primaries, in my opinion, as well, like not courting in black voters or not intentionally courting like queer voters. You got to do those things to win the primary elections, as Marty Abernathy has said before.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden didn't perform well as he can in that debate. He still made a mistake of mentioning the Proud Boys when Chris Wallace was asking a question about white supremacy, because that gave Trump the opportunity to talk directly to the Proud Boys. But it's not an interesting thing, especially since a lot of the rebels were like cheering on and already made t-shirts of Joe Biden saying, "Shut up, man." There's the excellent point that 255 AD brought up in Steve Shah's on the Ask Way that week. If Elizabeth Warren did that, or any other woman doing that, Kamala Harris, would they've been as applauded for saying to Donald Trump, "Shut
would
up,
have been called
man."
shrill
Probably not.
Exactly, which it shows that like even amongst the leftists and liberals, there's still a lot of misogyny and sexism, which is a constant work in progress we have to like fight against. Sex Pumpkins is a great band name. Yes, it is.
I don't know. We have
Sex
Smashing
Pistols,
Pumpkins. That's already kind of
and Sex Pistols too.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Johnny Rotten now just like a Boris Johnson like conservative guy?
That sounds kind of familiar. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean the lead singer of the Smiths too, very right wing too as well, and so it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, even like with System of a Down, Serj Tankian is great and like pretty like leftist and like political and active and very astute in that field as well for a musician. But he also got Rage Against the Machines. But the drummer System of a Down, right winger, Trump supporter. So
I like the song "Bring Your Own Bomb" they had.
yes, the 2005 one. Why they always send the poor? Yes. My friend Comrade Nanika would actually went to Iraq at that time, and that song really got to her as she was doing her tour in Iraq. And so, yeah,
Yeah, that's like my like mosh pit song.
mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Mithril has confirmed that, like, sadly, I am right, and yes, Jordan P. Johnny Rotten has gone. Well, rotten. So yeah, some people, yes, when you grow old, you get conservative, I guess. If you're rich, I think that's the design factor.
Yeah, or if things just move too fast for you, you're kind of like you kind of just disconnect from it all and just be like kind of simple minded, which kind of leads into conservatism. So I think a lot of it's that. I think a lot of it's people are rich, especially well, case in point, William Shatner. He's a rich guy. He's had a long life. He's done everything he's wanted. So he's just like, okay, whatever. He's comfortable.
I'm not sure if he was ever progressive to begin with, though.
He's from Canada, so I'm curious.
Yeah, well, there are progressive Canadians as well as conservative Canadians. Doug Ford. Canada still has their racism problems because, it's great to be like a Canadian unless you're Native, unless you're First Nations people. The Wet Sweatin can say a lot about that. Hey, means of destruction, welcome. But yet, being comfortable in that having a mortgage or a well-paying job or in a good position economically does tend to like make you have a stake in the system, as we're and thus conservative, and probably get out of touch as well. Look at the Monty Python crew. I mean, point me to like one of them was like decent. I mean, Graham Chapman tragically died at like the 48 in 1989 because of AIDS or cancer.
Wasn't Prince known to be pretty conservative? Prince
became a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
And so it's like maybe it's because of the wealth or something like that, because then you have like a stake in the system, as it were, and so you want to keep the system as it is. And I think that's a lot of it.
I think it's wealth. I think it's age. I think a lot of it's just like I said, things happen very fast, and people are not very like informed a lot about stuff, so they're kind of looking at stuff from a distance and being like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I'm too lazy to care either way. So they'll be simple minded and kind of traditionalist, and then people will say, well, you're conservative.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's like they're trying to like, they remove themselves and from everything, and
and also the more you segregate yourself, the more conservative you're going to end up.
Yeah.
And when you have money, you can really isolate yourself, only hang out with a very select group of people. You don't have to work, so you don't you're not going to end up with random people who don't agree with you.
That's the thing I've noticed about the whole Peloton, and like all the obsession with like capital and like physical fitness, and it's like why because like some of the Peloton commercials, like they would be like in a secluded house, and this guy bought this Peloton bike for his like trophy wife girlfriend, and I'm like, she can't just run around the block and exercise? Why? Like, I don't know. Capitalism is weird like that. It's now trying to tell you don't look good enough. So
yes,
it's.
I've already mentioned this before in past episodes, but like that was one of the interesting people that wrote to David Graeber, may he rest in power, bullshit jobs. This person works at a graphics, computer graphics, like art studio as well. So that he would look, that's not a bullshit job in itself, because he would love to build those like scenes in movies or TV shows of the spaceships flying against each other, or a dragon flowing in and breathing fire and all those things. But his job is to make the beautiful people on the soap operas and sitcoms more beautiful. Their boobs are more for her. They'll fix that imperfection in the makeup and the pimples. They will actually edit out the pimples in like digital, or like make them look slimmer, or make the guys look more buff and stuff like that. And then on the commercials as well, make that the laundry detergent and make the whites more whites, or make this person with the beauty product more younger, more beautiful, and all that. And he knows that like I am actively doing harm to people because I'm making them feel shitty for watching those TV shows and feeling like I'm not as sexy as those people on there. And then they'll buy the products that I'm selling to them on the commercials, and they will see those products not working as well, and then it'll still be miserable. It's a constant thing. It's also like a society spectacle sort of thing, where just like the constant advertisement, it makes us force us to be consumers, as it were.
Yeah. I gotta run, but that reminds me of that interview that Marilyn Manson and Michael Moore had in his movie Bowling for Columbine, where they were like talking about it's fear, like on the television, that if you have acne, the girl's not gonna fuck you, or blah blah blah, and Manson and Moore were like debating, like people reacting negatively to his music when the Columbine massacre happened, but then no one doing anything about the war that the state propagates. So
so that just remind me of another Rebecca Watson video, because she's awesome and that's why I watch her. But she covered a study about conservatives, because we were asking ourselves like, how do conservatives think, what do conservatives think, and she found the study where basically the reason why conservatives vote the way they want to is because they are terrified. I kind of actually can attest to that from experience from my former manager as well. So they're terrified of a lot of things. It's all it's bullshit what they're terrified of, but it's just like they have this fear and anxiety of the minorities rising up, as it were, or that instability that they will cause, and all these other things. And so that emotionally, at least, is the driver when their motivations for the way they vote and the way they act. They're just terrified of things changing, as it were. It's an existential crisis, because if queer people, trans people, people of color, Muslims, and all those people, Latinx, if all of them become the new normal, as it were, what does that mean for them? It's just have white guy. What does it say about them? And that's what they're terrified of. It's also like a losing of institutional power, as well, which is why they will oh my god, they will write so many things about like Tifa's breast being smaller, She-Ra doesn't have big tits anymore, or the Mortal Kombat and 11 characters, female characters, are more clothed, and like what was the other one that was like, oh yeah, the missing vag bone in like garage session.
Vagina bones.
Well, I gotta run, guys, but
thanks for joining us.
You too. Hook up with you guys next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Democratic capitalism means destruction, says well, you're talking to an anarcho-communist here. Well, Joe Watkins said mutual singleness, but like we are anti-capitalist. And many of us in the chat also.
I'm anarchist with mutualist sympathies, Geek. Come on.
I mean, I'm not opposed to mutualism at all. I said that many times. I personally think it might be an excellent bridge. People are so used to marketplaces and buying things, having currency. So if we just like use mutualism as kind of like bridge, a transition state between like late stage neoliberal capitalism to like fully electrically automated gay space anarcho-communism, then mutualism could be a good bridge in that. With anarcho-syndicalism maybe somewhere in there, or at least that's how the like workshops and all those places can be run. Democracy at the workplace.
Really quick, I want to drop a link in the chat to an episode of the Duolingo French language podcast. Thought it was interesting. It's about an Afghani refugee who wound up in France. He made his way north to a refugee camp, essentially, which was he was applying for asylum. The French government came in, bulldozed the camp, and arrested everyone. Sent them off to prison. They denied his request. They were going to ship him back to Afghanistan, and then a village in LaSalle, I think it was, heard about this, and they started doing everything they could to save these people, get them out of prison, give them homes, and sponsor them, try and help them with their refugee stuff. He learned how to be a baker while he was living there, and now he runs a little bakery and uses the village communal oven. So it's very much a communist story, I think. The state tried to kill him, but he was saved by a community.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah, and that's like a lot of things I really kind of like advocate for that I should practice in real life, at least local organizing, maybe even with like the local DHS or local IWW, or even like people at work. And that's actually something that I've noticed from like my stepmom or in her community, the Vietnamese community, because she's Vietnamese. That's there is a sense of community there, so maybe I can like talk to those people or try to like get them to like see it as like let's be more communal and like work together to try to improve the workplace. That's where, even though she doesn't get along with some of the people at the workplace, but that's a separate thing. And because I do kind of envy that kind of like sense of community that you see in that community or in some of the workplaces or like in small town communities that like my mom was like from in not Wisconsin, Michigan, but she was on the border, close to it. So it's like the Upper Peninsula is pretty much like an extension of Wisconsin anyway, as Tom McDonald and Joe McClory would say if they were here. But capitalism, especially in the imperialism corporations of white supremacy, America, itemizes us with the urbanization, making us all the king of the castles, and really kind of just like seem to like self-isolate as well with our own like algorithms of like search results and all these other things. So means construction. I remind you of the DM of your D&D group. That's why you like me. That's interesting. But that was always the work of the urbanization, the atomization was meant to break us apart, to not be like community collective, but like more of individuals. Because like individually we beg at workplace, while collectively we bargain. And so, yeah, something we got a little surely we work better towards, but also at the same time, I can understand why some people don't talk to their neighbors if they're basically like trans and don't pass, and or if they're anarchists in like the deep south and rural places. Hell, even as I said before, even people who are out atheists in this country. Oh, I do have a good beard. John Brockman's beard is better. If some people who are out atheists get socially isolated from the small town community that they're a part of in small rural places in America, so that's the thing. Yeah, so let's see. The indigenous heretic, our friend Joey, said like I test as anarcho-communist as that little dog will go on these tests. I call myself in the look on me. Oh yes, they've already said this before because it's the tribal civilization of the Lakota. Much of my worldview is influenced by my culture and my tribe or incomes. Yeah, and that's something I'm interested in learning from at least indigenous groups as well. But I got to remember and be careful. It's just like I should not be the white person coming into the indigenous people and telling them how they should do things. They are doing it fine, just fine. White people coming in and doing into indigenous people's affairs has a tarnished history, to say the least.
I don't know. I think that I could help them a lot with all the things that I know about stuff. I'm very wise. You can tell as my beard gets longer, I get more wiser. That's how that works.
Is that why Sarkon the Cog has a beard? He's a bearded man with a British accent. That's why the people thinks assumes that he is very smart, like my younger brother. No, he literally said that once. Oh.
Well, he knows all the best massage parlors.
Be careful when you're showing your displaying your desktop as you're streaming, especially if you're like in like Chrome and like you type in something in the search bar in Chrome, because yeah, that's how we found out that he
You want to know
like...
about all the lesbian bondage porn I watch? That's fine.
I mean, it's like no one's going to be surprised at what I search in my browser history. Honestly,
You have all the cartoon porn.
I want there to be adults. I focus on like there to be adults. So okay, so if you happen to see one that's a parody of a kid's shows, I swear that the characters are adults in that instant. They age them
No lolly
up
porn, geek. No lolly.
Mm-hmm. No Shota either. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Shota either. Even though they have to like make a distinction of straight Shota as well, which okay, but still, just like the fact that the category is this as well as lolly, and there's just legal lolly too, which is like there's that small character that's childlike, but they're 36. Okay. Yes, we're making this awkward.
It's called hentai and it's art.
Well, Little Ano is asexual, but is a fan of tentacle porn as well. It's Cthulhu-like. Well, and boobs, yes. Fuck, she loves boobs though. Yes, I'm taking my own day grave deeper. I have shown off. I have in arm's reach is some of my porn and other things, and I have shown.
We know you have a huge collection of hentai porn because you have a samurai sword and looks like 2 sai there in the back.
Yes, and a bow staff. That's a 6-foot bow staff. I don't think it's an Okinawa bow or not, and that's a practice katana too.
It's short for Lolita, so it should probably be Loli.
Yes, so like Loli. Because yes, it's based off of Lolita, and it is of it's of that, and most of those like stories say that the characters are 18 as well. That's
despite the fact that they look like they're 12. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's kind of interesting because like last night I started playing for the first time a Steam game that like looks very interesting because it looks like Castlevania, like 2D Castlevania from the NES era. It's like okay, it's non-linear, so it's like it has a lot of exploration. It's a lot of fun like that. But yet they do have like the safe for work option, but the not safe for work option because it is more as an adult game called Midnight Succubus, as it were. I played a little bit of it, only an hour, but it is so fun. Yes, I should say that's a combat staff. Comrade Ibot. Hey, Comrade Ibot. Are you at work, Comrade Ibot? Because you just joined in as we're talking about hentai as well. You were playing a game. Okay, no, the game I was playing, Midnight Castle Succubus, with a name like that. So
you can kind of make some assumptions about what it's going to be like. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like a more tasteful Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem was not tasteful.
No, it was not. If you lose, though, you're the character who's female. Stuff happens, and I will say that. But you do also rescue maidens where stuff is happening then. But again, there is a safe for work option, so I'm interested in how safe for work it is, and if I can stream it to Twitch and doesn't break TOS. But you were like it's it is sort of a Metroidvania coming right up at Midnight Castle Succubus, but it looks like Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, so it's kind of in that vein, as it were, as because it's an adventure, it's like open world, as it were, it's non-linear in a way. It's still linear in that like there's only you'll be unable to like progress in certain places, as it were, so you have to like go and places, but like I was having fun with it. So Midnight Castle Succubus, I actually do recommend it, and maybe I can stream the Not Safe for Work in person. I recommend the Not Safe for Work game Demon Crashers. The sex possibility and consensual PSA is heartwarming. Oh, I'll look that up then.
I'm googling it right now.
Mm-hmm. Because the fact that like I'm not opposed to any non-safe for work games, obviously, but the fact that like there are sex positive
Looks like
ones,
it's a dating sim.
oh, not surprising. There are a few dating sims like that, and I know of the ones that like are not so safe, sex positive. Demon Crashers. Okay, I'm gonna look
Cute
this up
Demon
now.
Crashers is a silly little short game that gives a lazy virgin college student a fun and safe space to explore her first sexual experience with a partner of her choice if she so desires.
Nishitayo. Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of like cool games that you can find on Nishitayo. There's a lot of direct porn games as well. So yes, I know from experience. Do support but since we're talking about like sex work as well, do support sex workers. Sex work is work, so do support them if you can, and you have the money to, because even the people who are
Pay for your
these,
porn,
like,
people.
yes, pay for your porn. And yes,
Unless it comes from kink.com, because they are not good about consent.
Mm-hmm.
There were, at least a few years back, there were some revelations from behind the scenes information about how male porn stars would be encouraged to go beyond what their female partners had agreed to.
Oh, and so so remember, even the porn industry, just because it's like they are porn actresses and porn actors, still doesn't mean that like you can break consent. James Dean is a rapist, I swear. Oh, speaking of another one, because I actually been meaning to like bring this up previously when I first heard the broke of like the basic charges. Content warning though for like the link I'm going to provide, but Ron Jeremy is facing 20 and more sexual assault charges. Yes, the famous porn star Ron Jeremy, that's like in Guinness for like the most credited film credits and his like resume and something like that. A very prolific porn actor as it were. But again, just like with James Dean, just because you're a porn actor and you work with a lot of like porn actresses doesn't mean you can break consent. And so, yeah, I agree. Indigenous heritage, capitalism ruins everything. Misogyny, sexism does as well. Plays to their part by exacerbating. No, capitalism also exacerbates his misogyny and sexism is still there, but all of it's bad and terrible. And so, yeah. And I agree, Comrade Abba, but steal from corporations, support independent sex workers and of all those times, but
rob from the rich, give to the poor.
Yes, like Robin Hood.
Not Sargon.
Not Sargon, though. He likes to think he's Robin Hood because he speaks truth to power.
No, it's because he is... No, I have no idea. Probably because he thinks he's an edgy shitlord is probably why. Because he's living outside the law.
Yeah.
Not because he's robbing or giving, but just because he's edgy and English.
And I agree. I don't want to give money to Blazers either. Yeah, they're doing well for themselves already. I'm not sure about college though. Never heard of that.
Give money through OnlyFans.
Yes.
Or various other ways of giving directly to individual porn performers.
Speaking of which, we know of like someone who has an OnlyFans account, Phoenix. They have their own OnlyFans account, which I'm a patron of. But like, I'm also going to like post the Google links, charity links, Google Doc of like all those other people, which does include Phoenix, and I did include Phoenix's OnlyFans in there. I think maybe not. I don't know. You can ask for me to like find her OnlyFans account, and I'll share it with her because yeah, she wants to like basically advertise that and to get more people to give her money to see her legs and her boobs and her nipples. She's actually proud of her nipples. Because positivity is the thing. So there's the link to the charity link Google Docs. Rob the Hood, give the gated community.
That's Sargon.
Yes, that is Sargon. That's also what capitalism does. Not sure about like yeah, I'm not a big fan of like Andrew Yang as well, so I haven't look into his policies. I look in a little bit to his UBI policies, and I was just like, wait a minute, you're going to rework things, so take people's benefits away in certain things.
And that is why you have to be suspicious about UBI, because as soon as they give you UBI, they'll take away everything else, and it'll end up being worse.
I mean, that's the Silicon Valley way of like a UBI, because the workers are also consumers in this life stage neoliberal capitalism, and part of the society of spectacle that we mentioned earlier as well. Like, and how, as I commented, how people are just now just feeling worse and worse because of reality TV, because of all those ads, because of all those other things. So in order for the workers to be consumers still, even like in a pandemic, it's just like the Silicon Valley model of the UBI. It's just like, here's money, so then you can buy the next iPhone or buy Netflix or buy these other things. And it's kind of like, how about food security? How about like guaranteed housing?
Guaranteed housing, guaranteed food, clothing, education.
Healthcare,
meet everyone's basic needs. Don't give them money, because then all that's going to happen is the landlords are going to raise rent.
Exactly. Already with net neutrality, Comcast will just charge whatever they want to, and even though we just want the internet, we just want the broadband internet. They force that you could not get just broadband internet from Comcast. They will give you the cable box so you can watch basic cable free with your internet, and we haven't even hooked it up. It's like, so we're paying for basic cable that we don't watch, because who watches live TV now? I didn't even watch the VP debate.
Boomers still watch TV.
They do. They'll buy all those packages. They'll some old Gen Xers as well.
They still have landlines.
Yes, it's useful for landlines for calling an emergency. I can see the idea of that. Like if power is out, phone lines will still work as worse. So there's a utility to a landline, but yeah. But now it
is a utility.
And those should also be guaranteed as well.
Yeah, the state should provide internet along with everything else.
Especially with the pandemic and how we had to do social distancing, stay at home, virtual classrooms, all these other things, which they kind of like walk back on when it's like, oh, well, the thing did not ended by spring. And so let's just like have everyone back to the classrooms, students back to the classroom, because it was all
we don't care about the poor.
There's that as well. Trump realized that when he's like, oh, it's mostly reflecting Democratic places. And yes, Adora with the lesbian look. It is, but also the forcing the students back to the physical classrooms, that means that the parents don't have to stay home to like stay with their kids at home and can go back to work, continue to produce and be a worker in the capitalist system.
Continue to be exploited.
And which the system was struggling as well because of a pandemic. We have to stop working, so we have to stay at home. But of course, capitalism is expecting that like exponential growth and exponential production, and so it couldn't handle it when there was like a stop in production, and because they still need some like level of consumption as well, and that didn't stop, and that's kind of like slowed down. You have that one-time $1,200 stimulus checks, which was based off of just like a month's worth of minimum wage payment of like $7.25 an hour. They raised it was $11.60, but they raised it to $1,200, to a nice round number. And they really they would benefit their capitalist system and also like their corporate donors and friends and backers, even though they already bailed them out with the $2.3 trillion in the slush fund in the first stimulus package or all the other stimulus packages. So they were fine, I guess. So screw the workers. They won't care anymore. And I wish there was general strike. Yeah, I wish there was a general strike. And but
a general strike would win the war, but we can't do it because so many people are food insecure.
Yeah, because so many people feel insecure, so probably should work towards like means of like a building that infrastructure to like help make sure that people are food secure. That was the whole point of conquest for bread. The revolution needs bread, and so it's a lot of work that still needs to be done. But I think it's just the point. It's just cruelty, just absolute cruelty. It's not in the best capitalist interest. Excuse me, something in my throat. It's not in the best capitalist interest, because if in the capitalist interest, again, like we've said with the UBI, the end game, they would give money to all the people so they can continue to consume. UK's kind of like did something similar to like that to try to keep afloat all those businesses and encourage people to like buy sandwiches or go out to eat, as it were, when they lifted the restrictions, which actually Washington State has now lifted up some of the restrictions. I'm hearing advertisements for like go out to the restaurants, go out to the clubs, or go out to the movie theaters or all. Which that reminds me, that's one of the news items that I wanted to like share. No more Regal movie theaters. That the second largest movie theater chain of Regal Cinema is closing down. Yeah. A lot of Regal cinemas are closing down. They were closing how many locations that they said? Like over like 400,000. No, they're furloughing basically like 440,000 employees, because even though like in some places restrictions have been lifted, like Washington State's going to like phase 2, people are not going to like the cinema anymore because they still want to stay home because we don't have like a vaccine for COVID-19. And so 536 locations as of last week Thursday are closed down. More than 7,000 movie theaters, but also the big releases. They delayed a lot of releases so that no big movie was going to come to the movie theater. The last one that was the nail in the coffin was a delay of like a James Bond movie or something like that. No new movies are being in production right now because of COVID-19, so they have to maintain social distancing. And even some of the big releases that were delayed, that were released straight to streaming services like Mulan, Bill and Ted, or any of the other big movies that were about to release at theaters when the pandemic hit, just went to streaming. So why bother to go to the movie theaters with the overpriced popcorn and sodas, which is the only way for those movie theaters to make money? And so yeah, Regal Cinema is went the way of the dodo, looks like. AMC is probably going to do that. I have checked because I was AMC A-list member, so I did pay $20 a month to basically see whatever movies I want to, for the most part. They fortunately stopped charging me after like April or after March, as it were. So they weren't charging me during this whole pandemic, thank God. Because I actually checked. Oh my God, it is so hard to try to cancel your AMC A-list subscription. They don't want you to do that. So it's like you have to like contact them, support or something. They don't have an easy like drop down menu or
you could go to the bank and put a stop payment.
Oh, that's another way to do it. Yeah.
If they can't take your money anymore, they'll cancel it for you.
Yes, and the Indigenous Heretics state, South Dakota, still hasn't shut down. The cases are still increasing. No one's wearing masks still. That's true here. I think most people did observe it, but there are some people that don't. and the well, yeah, as I said before, there were two bus systems that I used to go to work. Metro, which is the King County, which is the government bus system, and then Sound Transit, which is kind of more to go everywhere, but with like express buses essentially. But that's a private company. And Sound Transit also has the Sounder train and the Link Red Rail. So the subway, the one subway, there's two. Um, the Sound Transit started charging again in June. They did toll payments at the end of March, the same as Metro, but they started charging again in June, but at a reduced rate, and then went back to the full rate in July. Now in October 1st, King County is now charging again, but they still have all the signs and stickers for social distancing, but they also are requiring masks, and it's something that Sound Transit is done. They will have a box of disposable masks for you in case you don't have one, and some of the drivers do really will stop the bus and not move forward until someone puts on a mask. Well, other drivers don't because, yeah, it's up to the drivers essentially. But yeah, we're still kind of like doing that whole thing. But in lighter news,
but Dave is absolutely right. If we did go on general strike, the state would then immediately begin using state violence.
Yeah, because the uprising against police violence, like that's still going on. Basically, in some places like Portland and Seattle, they're just like every night there'll be protesters at a certain place. There's always government buildings usually, and they'll still do demonstrations because no justice, no peace, no racist police. And yeah, even if Biden wins, we'll still have police state essentially, which we'll have to constantly fight against. Yeah, unfortunately, if Smith's instruction says a lot of people will get hurt, and he works at a warehouse or for a grocery store, and if we shut down, the Commonwealth is fucked. Yeah, that's because essentially capitalism wants us all to be like going from like hand to mouth. The government never wants like people to be food secured. That would not be good for like the people who profit off of like providing food for people. So EBT, this food stamps, was always just like a compromise between food security and people starving, because any country that's is 3 missed meals away from a revolution, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that's actually. I'm not sure even with that is going to happen in America. So and so that's why the EBT food stamps was like a bridge or the compromise instead of like all those trees. Both Common said this in the video. All those trees that are like out in the cities and all those places, all those parks as well, or with all those trees. What if those trees produce fruit? But they don't want that. They don't want the homeless people congregating at those trees, but because they don't want food security. And also all the times that you get arrested or like in jail for giving food to homeless people. This country.
It's amazing how helping people is illegal.
Mm-hmm. This is America. I think we can change subject now. Because I saw your Twitch stream last night where you tried to play Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, and I found out what the problem was. It's a program that they introduced back in Windows 7 to help manage your RAM. I can't remember what it was called then. Now it's called sysmain.
Okay.
It's constantly monitoring you, what you do, and it says, oh, you like to use this program, so I'm going to have it preloaded in the RAM for when you need it. And then occasionally it can freak right the fuck out and just completely dominate, take over your RAM, particularly when you're playing a game, which is constantly moving things in and out of RAM. So the way to solve that is to disable the program, sysmain. So hopefully tonight I will be able to play and my computer won't start chugging and being unplayable. So Baldur's Gate 3, because Baldur's Gate 2, that's a big part of my teen years. Loved those as CRPGs.
Did you play the old school Fallout games as well from like Interplay?
Yes, I've played those. I played a lot of the old CRPGs.
Icewind Dale?
What's that? Icewind Dale, I played that a bit. I don't think I managed to make it all the way through that one. Torment Planescape, love that one.
Ooh, I need to play that one. I think I own it on Steam. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about that.
It is amazing. Do not put your stuff into the physical stats. Go for intelligence and wisdom.
I heard about that because the Planescape Tournament is one of the few rare games based off of like D&D rules or similar to like that where you can actually like win without fighting, or for the most part. They use
There are a few
persuasion.
places where you have to fight, but yeah. But yeah, it is far more about the dialogue and the characters and so on.
In Planescape Tournament, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that's like one of those rare mature games that like are actually mature and not just about like tits and nats and gore.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is one of the. It is a very excellent game, and pretty too. I mean, it's a dark kind of pretty, because it's set in the. You don't spend any time in the heavens. You're in the outer realms where things are kind of grim and gritty, but it's a very thing. I've only managed to play the very start of Baldur's Gate 3 there, Mithril. But they've made it pretty, and it's following 5th edition rules. So it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to continuing to play it, even though I'm basically, I got to pay $60 for the opportunity to be a beta tester for them.
Yeah, essentially that's early access some games do well with early access where it's just like they will say, hey, listen, you're not going to go get the full content yet, we're working on it, but here's plenty of content for you to enjoy, like Ark Survival. That was an early access game that, while still being in early access, also gave their players or access to or offer them DLC, paid DLC. And Jim Sterling would be the first to tell you of like shitty game makers like decisions and exploiting the video game consumers. But he was like, no, actually, Ark Survival is a strong, solid game and solid experience for people who have like bought the game, even though it's in early access. It's still like a solid game and you get a solid experience for it. So he didn't mind that the developers were giving players a DLC to like purchase and like explore and play with. So you can do early access well, as it were. However, as I heard in like other games or other videos like from Extra Credits, is that like you only get one launch. So first impressions like kind of are key. So
so there's a risk to early access.
Exactly, for game developers. So that's why, and I think it's kind of like I can understand for how the indie game developers that are stretching for money will do the early access thing just so that they can get some income to continue the project, as were. And it's just like I guess the best way is just like be cautious buyers at early access games, as were. And also this Baldur's Gate 3 is not by BioWare as well.
No, it's not. It's by I think it's Larian is the name of the studio. So I mean, it's going to be very different, but yeah, I was kind of upset that there was no sorcerer. I'm hoping that they just add them in later and don't make them DLC or something. That would be annoying and shitty.
Oh yes, Larian is the studio that also does the Divinity games, like Divinity Original Sin as well. I have some of them, but I played a little bit of like one or two of them, and it's just like, okay, computer RPG, Western style RPG, like similarly to like Elder Scrolls and like Baldur's Gate, something like that. I can dig it, but like I haven't like committed to it yet. I haven't committed to a lot of the video games. I have the 900 video games that are in my Steam account, the 1,500 that I got from itch.io. Part of that, like Black Lives Matters, racial justice, like a bundle that they offered. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Right now, I'm playing a Halfling Warlock. I was kind of upset that there was no Fae. I had to go with the Abomination, the old ones. Great old ones, the outsiders, the aliens.
No druid, no barbarians, and no paladins. Well, again, early access, so I might add those classes later because
I mean, those are I mean, Druid and Paladin go back to the origins of D&D. Barbarian became really popular with 3rd edition, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to add those, otherwise people will freak right the fuck out. Fuck you, David.
Well, David is fulfilling the role of. David was fulfilling the role of being Julie by calling out nerds to us because we are a bunch of nerds.
I'm in a D&D podcast. Yeah, I'm going to own that shit, but still.
But still, well, then again, David will feel sad that he's not put in the timeout. So even when Julie's not here, we have to put David in timeout for some reason. He just didn't do a pun this time. Well, he did a pun early in the live chat. I just didn't pay attention to it or anything like that. But now being saying nerd, I'm like, yep, that's 5-minute timeout.
You earned that one, David.
Speaking truth to power. So yeah, is warlocks used to melt my face until I got ice lance and burning crusade. And like a no mage and like in vanilla WoW. Yeah, I never
was Barbarian in 1st edition. Huh. I don't remember 1st edition. We had the rule book, but I started with 2nd edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I see. I just I played Traveler, so I had played a pen and paper RPG. I was an engineer for the ship, but I haven't played D&D. I've been offered a few times. Like I think I know. I think I get it now, and I have ideas of how to build certain characters. Like I have anyone can use this. What if Peter Kropotkin is a druid in D&D? That would be a way to play Peter Kropotkin in D&D. It has to be like, how lawful would he have to be? Lawful neutral at least?
Well, it depends on the edition.
I guess he can be like a neutral good as well.
They also had assassins in 1st edition, I think. Or no, they definitely had them in 2nd edition.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We haven't mentioned it yet, or haven't focused on it. VP debate that happened this week.
Yeah, I didn't hear too much about it. I didn't watch that or the presidential debate. All I know is that at one point a fly was crawling on the piece of shit, and everybody went nuts for that.
Yep, the fly landed on Mike Pence's hair, and yeah, I think in terms of policies, Kamala Harris, either on the debates or I know for sure that she said so on Twitter. Kamala Harris has said that she and Joe Biden will never ban fracking. And of course, leftists have the reactions I guess the world's going to burn and we're not going to do anything about it. Yes, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are better than Donald Trump. Yes, I know. But I guess it's about the willingly acceptance of people are just going to die, but there will be less people dying. It's a trolley problem, this war.
It's the best we can do right now, but
within the electoral system, which is why I kind of get annoyed of all the activist organizations that I sign up for are just all about voting. And I'm just I mean, hey, if you're out in battleground states, or in Georgia or in Florida or in Pennsylvania or in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, or in any places, and there's North Carolina might swing actually, and there's concern about voter suppression, as I was encouraged by the Cheeto in chief. Yes, it is direct action to help make sure that people who vote or people cast their ballots or people are able safely can vote and participate in the democratic process as well. Because yes, the more people vote, the less likely Republicans are going to win. And so if there's any Republicans incumbents or even Democratic incumbents that are establishment Democrats that can be voted out by a Democratic progressive challenger like Shea Pitar's running up against Nancy Pelosi in her district, then vote for those people. Vote for the most progressive people you can. I probably will do that since I might be voting for Hallie Hawkins in Washington State, but Washington State is for sure going to go for Joe Biden. So I feel like my vote's not going to like matter things there. So if you are comfortable doing so and you can do so, vote. And if you're in a battleground state and you can do so and you feel comfortable enough to do so, vote for Biden. But yeah, Biden, especially Tara Reid, wrote the 1994 crime bill, so incarcerated a lot of people of color, black people, voted against busing 19 times, helped put Nancy Scalia and Claire Thomas on the Supreme Court, and it's not for Medicare for all at all. It's for a public option that will assure 97% of us, meaning that they'll leave 3% to die, I guess. That's 3 million people. And also, it's still health insurance and for-profit health insurance that we have to work with, and so yeah, it's going to like suck for people who are trying to get coverage and like do all that stuff. And yeah, down the ballot as well as an option. Yeah, all the other like races, the local races, those rarely get any attention. I gotta like look
vital
up
because that's the only way we can combat gerrymandering is by taking over state legislatures.
Yeah, so
which is difficult because thanks to gerrymandering, you have to get like 54% just to break even.
Oh, if there and initiatives as well, because in Washington State there's a lot of initiatives. That's probably actually Washington State. This is a thing, and I think I voted for it, where it's like any tax proposal that is presented by the state Congress has to be approved by the voters. So in order to increase taxes, voters have to like accept that. It's 50-50 if they accept it or not. And so I got to like make sure to vote to like do that and do vote for the initiatives, because those actually do affect their like laws. And like Maine did pass an initiative for ranked choice voting. So in Maine, they can like vote for one person and then select the second option, go down and select basically vote 4 times, but split up in first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, and have like automatic runoffs in like a Maine. That's good. Hopefully Susan Collins will be voted out because she's up for re-election in this one, as well as Lindsey Graham.
But I think Trump learned his lesson from getting impeached. That's
and Brett Kavanaugh deserves to be on the bench. Even though Al Franken must step down.
Such a shame. Such a nice man. The Democrats made up that conspiracy theory about him. How could they do that?
The guy with the face.
Yeah, higher voter participation does favor leftism. Which is why Republicans and corporations do everything they can to discourage voting.
Yeah. Hence the voter intimidation, which always happen in elections, and how so many places like rural places will have plenty of voting stations and voting places, but Dallas, Texas only has one place. And that happened in the primaries. Long lines has always been a discouragement. So if you can, bring water, bring food, bring a chair to sit in, bring all those things. Remember the social distance as well, because long lines was kind of one of the reasons that like people speculated that Bernie Sanders didn't do well in the primaries. Long lines hurt democracy in general, because if less people vote, then it hurts democracy well.
And people have to take time off work to vote, and then there's those long lines, and they literally cannot afford to vote.
Yeah, there's also that too, which is why we have to have vote as a day, as a voting day, as a holiday, election day as a holiday every time for each time, because we do vote once a year, just like the local elections get very little participation as were. And we got to make it on the Sunday or a Saturday, give people time off, or have it be a full week, or do what Washington State and Oregon does: give everyone their ballots in mail, and they can mail it back in, which is what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people follow for
no. That's not safe. That's how they cheat. That's how they're going to steal the election from Trump. How could you do that, geek? How could you steal the election by having people vote?
Joey, the indigenous heretic. I feel like that chubby capybara is a whole mood. Yes. By the way, look at capybaras on Twitter for
They're the
pics and
sweetest animals.
they're so chill. I think I want a capybara to be as one of my personas, as the chill Jonathan Scott, the chill capybara as a persona. But I agree with you that I work a lot, so maybe a border collie can work, but also a fox, because if you hear me laugh, I can be a fox. Yes. Baby goat too, for the matter. Okay, later, Von Rock. Thank you for
Bye, Von
coming.
Rock.
Thank you for the good conversations. I think that's it. I mean,
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot to talk about this week.
I'm just glad I could talk a lot in order to fill time. But we did cover a lot of things that I wanted to cover.
And Sargon's back on Twitter.
Sargon's back on Twitter. We got the fishy fashy. Oh wait, there's a Guardian article of like, okay, finally it worked this time. Because I saw a screenshot of it. So we'll end with this. I posted in like, video game planes emit real carbon. Why gaming is not merely guilt-free escapism. And it's just like, okay, yes. In order to, why is that not working now? What's
video game planes?
So yes. Because of video gaming, we contribute to climate change. It didn't again. I don't know why that just on mine. Yes.
Let people have leisure time, okay? Stop.
I'm in Washington State. We have hydroelectric. I mean, it still has its own issues because of like how it affects the fish population in the Columbian River and all that stuff. Oh yeah, Columbian River is the damn all to hell in all those different places, which how Washington State has a lot of like hydroelectric electricity that it actually gives to other states. Oregon and Idaho are all almost primarily electrified by hydroelectric electricity. So it's more greener than coal for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's not perfect for the environment, still harms the rivers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, and the little amount of like carbon footprint that video gaming does, or like Twitch streaming, or in all that internet and all those other things does. Yes, it has an effect, but so many other things have an effect.
And we're in the middle of a goddamn pandemic while we're on time.
Yes,
people need to be able to have fun at home.
Yes, and need to have fun at home. So it's just like all this pearl clutching, hand wringing, and it's just like.
So, David, looks like the Swedish for island is Skikametalanda. English is island. Italian is isola. Spanish is isla. French, il. German, Insel. And Swedish, Skikametalanda. Oh, sorry, no, it's the Swedish chef. It goes like this. So it's Skikametalanda.
The most famous Swedish person, the Swedish chef from the Muppets.
With an umlaut.
Sorry, people. Unfortunately, the link is for only like people who support the Guardian. So you have to
I was
like
able to read it, no problem. I don't support the Guardian.
As I have to read it in the incognito tab, but this is a silly story, anyways, because it's just like video games are causing pollution, and we should stop playing video. No, we should feel guilty for playing video games, and it's just like, fuck you. I've experienced that all my life. What? It's print radio outside. It's nice outside, which actually it is. Like clear blue skies. So go outside and play as a kid. No, I wanted to stay indoors and play Mario. I wanted to stay indoors and play Diablo 2. Come on. Final Fantasy.
So the Swedish for island is just All right. Well, I need to go walk the dog. So I'm going to go do that.
And I'm Summer and Geek with threes instead of East and Geek. Summer and Geek on Twitch. I'm probably going to do a stream later today. Then I got to talk a lot today, so give me a break, and I'll probably do that later. I should do more streaming on Twitch anyway. Summer and Geek on Twitter and YouTube with threes instead of East and Geek. Other links in down below. That's the end of my pitches.
And I am also in another podcast, Dungeons and Debacles. We are now playing a good party again. We are working, well, I don't know how good we are. We're working with the Vanguard, and they're kind of... I have problems with the Vanguard personally. My character doesn't. He loves them. But
when I think of Vanguard, I think of Lenin, and it's just like, 100% agree with that.
No, they're a little fashy, I think, the Vanguard. All right. But that being the case, still, it has been a wonderful chat, Geek. I'm glad you got the chance to talk.
I let others talk, so...
All right. Remember to take your meds, everyone, and
self-care.
Be safe. All right.